Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm having a really great one today. I think we're probably going to start off this episode with one very important thing, which I'll find in my backup gear here. Yep, we need this. We'll need some of these. Welcome to my new debris mining outpost, by the way. We'll need one of these, and we'll do this. And there we go! With all of the netherite pieces in my inventory, we get the challenge complete for getting a full suit of netherite armor. Somehow I neglected in the episode where we were upgrading everything to netherite to do a chest plate, because I don't really wear one all that often. I tend to wear a elytra most of the time, and I had a backup chest plate in here that was going to fit the bill. I didn't want to upgrade this diamond chest plate because I want to preserve that as it was when we created it, but now, of course, now we have a netherite chest plate. We have the full netherite set, which I'm immediately going to put back in this box because I prefer wearing my elytra, and I need a gold helmet to stop the piglins attacking me. But still, we have a little bit more of this set put together now, and I honestly think it's probably overdue. So with that out of the way, we are going to continue with today's episode, in which we are going to be acquiring a fair amount of this stuff. This is basalt. You can typically find it in basalt deltas and soul sand valleys in columns hanging from the ceiling or rising up from the floor. And it is actually possible to generate a large amount of basalt if you don't feel like going mining for it, which is actually kind of great, because while basalt does not have any kind of other uses than just as a decorative block, it has one single crafting recipe which you can use to craft polished basalt, which looks a little bit more like a rundown quartz pillar. I think it's a really nice block, and the fact that we can get it renewably is very cool. So in today's episode, we're going to take a look at exactly what the method is for acquiring large amounts of basalt, how you can generate it, whether in the overworld, the nether, or the end, and how we can use this to our advantage. So at this point, I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with how to set up a cobblestone generator, but just in case you aren't, I will run through the specifics of that here. We need a 4-block deep trench, like so. We need 1 block to be slightly deeper than the others, and we place water on this side and let lava flow into it from the other side. The reason the water needs to flow downwards is because it flows faster than lava, and if water makes contact with the source of the lava over here, it could end up turning it into obsidian and we lose the lava entirely, which is not a big deal when you're in regular default survival worlds, is a big deal when you're playing something like Skyblock and you have limited access to lava. But using this, of course, we can create an infinite amount of cobblestone, and this process can even be automated thanks to the fact that you can place a redstone torch underneath there, hook that up to a piston here, and have that basically automatically shuttled along every time some cobblestone is generated. Basalt generators work a little bit differently. Basalt is a material native to the nether, and you cannot generate it using water, because in the nether, water simply cannot exist. Even if you break ice or something like that in the nether, it is not possible for water to exist there. It will simply evaporate. You can spawn it in using commands, of course, but that is cheating. That's not something we're going to be doing here in the survival guide. So basalt has to generate by a method that does not involve lava and water. Lava is still involved, but there are a couple of other materials here. First of all, we will need some soul soil, which can be found in soul sand valleys, and we will also need some blue ice. We have a material that is definitely native to the nether, and we have a material that is definitely not. So blue ice is kind of tricky to find. If you find an iceberg biome, chances are a couple of icebergs will have spawned out there made of blue ice. You can also get blue ice from trading with a wandering trader, or by grabbing a bunch of regular ice, crafting it into packed ice, and crafting it down from there into blue ice. And the method for generating basalt is actually fairly simple and quite similar to a cobblestone generator. We want 1 block of soul soil at the bottom here. The lava is going to flow over that, and then adjacent to the area above the soul soil, we want a single block of blue ice. Note that this is blue ice, not packed ice, not regular ice. It doesn't work with either of those. It has to be blue ice. So if we place some lava here, it'll flow a couple of blocks, and once it flows over the soul soil, it converts directly into basalt, which of course I then lose in the lava when I break it, because this is kind of like a cobblestone generator and the basalt can go any which way when it drops. Now, an interesting factor about this is that the block of blue ice, we have to use silk touch to get that, by the way, the block of blue ice can be above the area that's going to generate the basalt rather than to the side of it. So it can actually flow this way and be perfectly fine. But the soul soil always has to remain underneath the flow of the lava. That's the most important part of this. The position of the blue ice can change a little bit. The position of the soul soil cannot. The other thing that's worth noting is it's not just lava flow that is converted by this. It is lava sources as well. So if I was to place a lava source right here, it would be immediately converted into basalt and we would lose that bucket of lava. So we are going to have to go and get another one. It's all right, we have plenty of that in this world. So back here in our Nether research lab, I've created this little offshoot wing here where we can do a couple of experiments with how we can automatically generate basalt and how we can automatically harvest it, which should be a fairly simple process, kind of similar to the way a cobblestone generator works. But unlike the cobblestone generator, we have to contend with the fact that the soul soil has to be below the block of basalt at all times, and a block of blue ice has to be adjacent to it, meaning that we can't use the methods we've already used to move blocks around. In fact, the same methods we've already used to move blocks around in our nylium generator over here. We cannot power the block from below and allow pistons to do the work from there. So this is going to work slightly differently as far as a generator mechanism goes. I think over here, we're going to put some sort of blocks around the outside. I guess we can use polished basalt for that, so let's make that in a 2x2 there. I always end up thinking it's like a pillar recipe because that's what it ends up looking like, kind of like the quartz pillar. So anyway, we're going to put the polished basalt around here like so. That's where our lava source is going to sit, and we may as well just have that convert immediately into the basalt right here. So we'll put the soul soil there, and we'll put the blue ice there. Once the lava flow goes in, like so, it's going to generate a block of basalt there, basically right away. The problem now is once that generates, we need a way of detecting that to make sure that it gets pushed out of here, and that is where things get a little bit more tricky, because most of the compact methods of moving a block out of the way here involve observers. So let me quickly set up an observer where it detects this block forming right here. We'll have some redstone dust trailing over to this piston. As soon as the block generates there, the push and pull of the piston creates a redstone clock, because the observer is detecting every time a block gets pushed in front of it. When another basalt piece eventually generates, it just obliterates the lava source. So one way we can get around this is by using something called a monostable circuit, which was a circuit that used to be used a lot more before observers came along, but is still useful in very specific circumstances. Right here we've got a sticky piston which is wired up through this block here. So when the block gets placed or formed by this basalt making process, the signal is going to continue through this comparator or a repeater, it could be here, and it's going to go through this block which actually has a sticky piston underneath it pushing it upwards. That will channel a signal into this repeater which is going to output to this piston. So when we place this, it immediately gets pulled back out of the way. So with a little bit of an expansion to the redstone, all we need to do is place a repeater there, add a little bit of delay, just an extra tick of delay there, and put a piston here so that after the block is retracted here, this piston's going to fire immediately, and hopefully any block that we place there is now going to be shoved over this way. Not the most compact setup in the world, and I expect there are people smarter than me with redstone who've been able to come up with something a little bit more compact, but I think this does the job pretty well. Now for the moment of truth, we have to actually generate this stuff naturally, so by placing the lava bucket in there, yep, there we go. It is generating basalt, and everything is getting pushed out towards me in this direction. Not too bad. And if you want to set up a system where the basalt is harvested automatically, of course, all you would need to do is piston feed tape it like so round into an area where it's going to be gathered up, much like the automatic cobblestone farm I created a while ago. Just feed it into a TNT blast chamber and let a duplicator do the rest of the work. And of course, all you would need to do is replace the redstone block here with a lever, and that allows you to switch the machine on and off, making sure the power is cut to the circuit which moves the blocks around in the first place. But if we really want to kick this design into overdrive, we don't need to build it in the overworld. We need to build it in the Nether. That's right, folks, the best place to build one of these farms is going to be in the Nether, and this all comes down to the difference in how lava flows here. So I've grabbed some more soul sand and I've come out here to what is hopefully a relatively ghast-free section of the Nether so that I can build this contraption one more time, block for block, so you guys can really see how the entire thing comes together. First of all, we need to choose exactly where the lava and soul sand are going to be placed. I'm going to put those there. We'll need to build up one block and place our block of blue ice. We'll put some blocks around the outside here, like so, and when the lava flows over the top of this soul soil, it's going to generate a block of basalt. We're going to break down these redstone blocks into redstone dust, and we're going to have a lever here with some redstone dust feeding into this block so that every time we turn on that lever, this block receives power. From there, we'll grab some sticky pistons. We'll put one of those buried in the ground here with a block over the top of it. We're going to use cobblestone for for that, and we'll put a repeater facing into it like so. I'm going to switch off the circuit for now so that this doesn't interfere too much. We're going to have a repeater coming out of this as well. We're going to put down 3 blocks like so and 1 there, and that's going to have redstone dust on all of it. From there, we're going to place another repeater facing this way, set to 2 ticks, and then all we need to do is place in the sticky piston attached to this block here, facing towards where the basalt is going to generate, and the regular piston facing in this direction so that the basalt will all feed out past the lever. That should be the setup for this whole rig, but watch what happens when we activate the machine this time. There we go. Because of the increased lava flow here in the nether, it's actually generating the basalt at an absurdly high rate, and that has already filled up the machine. So if we wanted to mine this efficiently, all we would need to do would be to set up a haste beacon around here, grab our most efficient pickaxe. In this case, of course, I've got my efficiency 5 netherite pickaxe, and this thing would generate basalt probably about as fast as we could gather it. As it is, my netherite pickaxe can just about keep up with basalt production, but that leaves me very little time to dodge over here and switch off the lever. There we go. Just about managed that. And yeah, if you wanted to feed this into a TNT blast chamber here in the nether, you could. Of course, you would end up needing something other than water streams to collect the items into hoppers. Maybe just put a bunch of hoppers down there on the floor of the machine or something like that. But I really think this could end up generating a whole lot of basalt for you very, very quickly. But believe me, my friends, this is not all the potential basalt has in the nether. There are some very, very neat things we can do with basalt, because remember, a lava source block can be converted to basalt if it has both blue ice and soul sand adjacent to it. And some very smart people figured out early on that it's possible to build contraptions that will let you create automatic bridges across the lakes of lava. So I've come out here to a nice big lava lake. We basically have lava as far as the eye can see in this direction. You can just about see the terrain here, but my render distance is set to like 24 chunks. So this is a pretty sizable area of lava. The first thing we're going to want to do is prepare an area that we can dig down into and start building ourselves a flying machine, or in this case a lava submarine, I guess you could call it. But we're going to need a little bit of vertical space here. We're going to need to be able to dig down a little bit, so I need to make sure that we are right up close to the shoreline of the lava here and that we have enough space to work. And the way this mechanic works, the ice is going to have to be level with the lava itself. The soul soil is going to have to be the next block down, and then the flying machine is going to have to be a block below that. So we are really going to have to dig down a few blocks here. I reckon we'll need about 4 blocks of vertical space, mainly because the flying machine is going to be made out of sticky blocks like honey blocks or slime blocks, which are going to stick to anything that is below them or is attached to them in that way. So we'll need to make sure we have a lot of space. Grabbing some slime and honey blocks out of my redstone box, we're going to come out 1 block from the wall, and this is where we're going to start building our flying machine. So we're going to build a kind of L shape like that, so that 1 block is sticking up and 3 along here, and this is actually where the flying machine components are going to go. So we'll place 1 sticky piston there, another sticky piston there, have a slime block here, and this is where we're going to start putting in the observers. Grab a couple of observers from the redstone shulker box. We'll put 1 facing downwards into that slime block. We'll put another one facing downwards into that slime block there, and that is the flying machine portion good to go. Now we need to add the blocks which are going to make the basalt. In this case, we're going to add soul soil to this side and this side here of the slime block, and I've got that soul speed effect again. Then the blue ice is going to go on there, and it's very important that the soul soil goes on the back of the flying machine and not the front, because if it goes on the front, it will generate basalt blocks in front of this blue ice, and the flying machine won't be able to push them very far. Or alternatively, it will just generate 1 block of basalt, and that will get pushed across the surface of the lava. So what this is doing is effectively generating basalt behind it rather than in front of it. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the opposite side, and we could make this out of slime blocks, but I also feel like we could make it out of honey blocks. So I'm going to include another flying machine over here, and I think this is where we're going to have to expand that wall slightly. There we go. It can be a little bit tricky to get rid of all of the lava, but that should be fine. And now we just want to make a honey block flying machine on this side, making sure that we orient the pistons and observers the right way for this one, because it does require a little bit of a different approach from the slime blocks. Instead, we're going to have an observer facing that way into that honey block, and an observer facing that way into this block here. The soul sand blocks and the blue ice are going to be attached exactly the same way, so what you end up with is this formation here, with 2 soul sand blocks in the middle, one sticking out the back on either side, and the blue ice there, with the flying machines good to go on either side. Now we need to start a firing mechanism, which is just going to be a couple of trapdoors activated simultaneously using the same redstone circuit, and we will need to make sure that there are not going to be any blocks in the way of this thing, which means tearing down this entire front wall, letting the lava flow in, and checking the surrounding area for anything that's going to obstruct it, which will unfortunately mean we have to take one of these fire-resistant potions and go for a bit of a swim. I am going to remove this observer from the circuit and this observer over here just so I can place the trapdoors without these things flying off immediately. It's also worth making sure you don't have any of these redstone conducting blocks getting in the way of any of the pistons, causing the pistons to permanently extend and therefore breaking the flying machine that way. But now comes the fun part. This is the part where we get to take down the entire front wall of this. I am going to remove my ender chest from in here, although that won't burn in lava. It will be a little bit difficult to retrieve after I've set this whole thing going. So I'm going to splash myself with 3 minutes of fire resistance, and let's get to work. Thankfully, another one of the quality of life features of this update is you have a slightly improved visibility underneath lava if you are under the influence of a fire resistance potion. So this is going to prove a little bit more useful when it comes to excavating the remainder of these blocks under here. But really, all I will need to do is make sure that they are taken out below the level of the flying machines, which as you can see is, I guess, about this level here. So we should hopefully be okay along here, and if I can swim into position... Yep, I would guess that basically everything is looking good from this side, and I'm going to be on fire for the next 5 years, it feels like. But I think the only thing that is left to do is to activate this thing and see how we get on. Okay, folks, this is the moment of truth. Let's see if we can get this thing moving in 3, 2, 1, and launch! And there we go, the bridge is being formed and it's working flawlessly. That is such a relief for a start because that was quite the setup process, but look at this. We have a 4-block wide bridge that is taking us all the way across this lava lake to roughly the other side. It will stop a couple of blocks from the shore, but that's where we can go in and manually place them. And unfortunately, yes, you may have to sacrifice these redstone components to lava because you're fairly guaranteed not to be able to retrieve them unless you completely drain the area of lava on the opposite side. But I think this is absolutely fantastic as mechanics go, and you will even find that some very, very smart people out there have made automatic bridge construction kits, which will follow behind with another flying machine and pull these basalt blocks out of the water, or the lava rather, and shape them and end up making them into a whole tunnel that can even be enclosed from ghast attacks, or frankly look a lot more stylish than a simple flat bridge. But as lava bridging contraptions go, that is pretty spectacular, and that is where we're going to leave this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. Folks, I do hope you've enjoyed this look at Basalt Generation and how it can be used to great effect. Let me know if you like this episode in the comments. Leave a like on it for me as well. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.